how like we were talking about earlier, we have been seeing her in a lot of games, and she's not very. Uh, she's going to be very strong in this upcoming patch. I'm surprised not to see any of the teams banning that and being like sort of being nervous about possibly about underestimating it perhaps and maybe
Yeah.
banning it just to be safe.
Yeah, definitely. You don't know if someone's played that Evelyn, and right now, if you were a player that I think played Evelyn before these changes, you're in such a good position. So I totally agree that she's going to be such a power player if someone knows how to play her correctly. We've also had coming out of KVGS Sivir and Blitzcrank for their bottom lane, which is possibly to really counter that Zyra. She can block her snare with a shield, and then Blitzcrank can go full aggressive on her. And when Zyra's caught in that position, she can actually fall very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Zyra being one of those so squishy champions. I mean, she does have the passive after her death, so does kind of make up for how squishy she is. But if she does get caught out by, for example, a Blitzcrank, then there's really not a lot she can do about it. None of her abilities are actually an escape. She has CC to escape with, but aside from her roots, all she has is her ultimate. So if she does get caught out, she's in a really bad spot.
Yeah, we've had Just the Student, which I was mentioning earlier, for Manchester. Used to pick up that Lee Sin an awful lot. He's actually hovering over Rammus right now, and he's this crazily strong jungler since the new patch. We've also had the Nasus locked in on the top lane, so they've just locked in Rammus and Nasus, two really hard-hitting champions right now. What do you think of those picks?
Nasus, I'm honestly not surprised to see. Obviously, the recent visual update and that he's a very strong champion. He was already a very strong champion before the update. Um, just a solid pick, really. I would obviously with the Riven band as well. Is the Nasus been picked by the same team that banned Riven?
It has, yeah.
Yeah. So Riven being one of the only real counters to Nasus, because Riven is an absolute and utter lane bully, and all Nasus needs is to be able to farm his Q and get to the late game. So banning out that Riven lets you sort of farm up your Nasus just more easily. I mean, there are still champions like Garen, for example, that can still bully Nasus out of lane, but it's much harder because obviously Garen doesn't have any CC, so he can't bully Nasus out of lane quite as easily.
Yeah, definitely. So the final two picks for KVGS are Shen and Quinn. So I'm thinking that the Shyvana's actually going to head into the jungle, leaving the Shen top. Really good pick, actually, the Shen versus the Nasus. Nasus obviously can't stop him getting out of that global teleport. And it means that while he be snowballing by farming top, he can actually put some real pressure on the bottom lane and the mid lane with pick there, in my opinion. Quinn's most likely going mid here, I'd have thought, versus what looks to be a middle Tristana that's been hovered over by Manchester right here. So Quinn's all pretty strong in that mid lane. Her trade's really good. She does suffer a bit long range poke champions, but the Nidalee and the Gragas was manned out. Syndra's actually being locked in as a final pick from Manchester right here. So it's going to be a Quinn versus Syndra matchup. Shen versus the Nasus in the top lane. The Nasus has taken teleport to counter that global ultimate. And in the bottom lane for KVGS versus Ezreal and Zyra in the bottom lane. And then finally Shyvana versus Rammus matchup right there.
Excellent. So really excited to get into this game. Unfortunately, for anyone watching this stream, my client has bugged out a bit. I'll be in the game as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to wait for the 3-minute delay anyway, so we can just talk about what we think of the early game, late game, mid game of each of these teams. So we've seen a double AD carry being pulled out from KVGS. And they've got this AP, this Blitzcrank bottom lane. What I was going to say is, do you think that Blitzcrank is going to be the AP for KVGS now that it's going to have all this extra gold?
I wouldn't have necessarily said he'll be building AP. I would assume that he would build tanky anyway. obviously, if I think if they were gonna go for an AP carry support, they're better off to go for something like LeBlanc, or I've seen various mid champions played in the support role now. Um, I think if they were gonna go all out with the support damage, then they would have picked a sort of burstier champion. So I think he'll probably will build tanky anyway.
Yeah, and on the other side, the reason I was pointing out the lack of AP is because Syndra's so dominant at the minute. She's got that stun and so much damage, so she could potentially eliminate one of those ADs without a problem, and then probably build enough armor through one item to survive. Will they have a problem running the double AD strat? Do you think on KVGS?
Quite possibly. I don't know. It's one of those strats that's never 100% safe because obviously in the game of League of Legends, the enemy team can all build defensively just to counter you. And if, like for example, if you are all physical damage, if the enemy team just builds lots of armor items, then you're not in a very good position because when you have split damage like most compositions do, the enemy team has to build both magic resist and armor. But if you only have physical damage, they can build those armor items like they would have, but instead of building magic resist items, they can just build damage. So then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage because the enemy team will be more aggressive almost.
Yeah, definitely. With the new changes in the wards and that, how much harder is it to close down the Nasus? Should it be easier with the fact that vision wards and a trinket that can get rid of your wards being put onto that Shyvana, or do you think it's in fact harder by the fact that he's going to have that 60-second ward right from the get-go?
I don't really know how it's going to pan out. I think I'm very interested to see the sort of ward wars, see if we do have a top lane versus top lane, not a lane swap. I'll be interested to see if either of them do go for the sweeper trinket or if they do both go for the ward trinket. And also, how many wards people do end up buying. Obviously, they do have that trinket, but it's not 100% vision coverage. So I'll be interested to see if people do still buy wards. If someone maybe sacrifices buying wards for going more aggressive, buying more items early. Yeah, I'm just interested to see how these players decide to play with this new meta.
Definitely, and in my opinion, I know personally that I've probably been picking up a lot less wards as a mid laner and AD carrying. I think that's really detrimental because you get to that later game stage, and I've become so out of habit by having that trinket there of buying an extra ward here and there that I'm in fact kind of neglecting the whole team situation. So I wonder how much these teams have been playing solo queue, and how much they've been playing team fives in order to get the ward coverage right again, because it's quite a big change to from having your support being able to put out 5 or 6 wards on the map to your team having to spread it a lot. You've got to really knuckle down and communicate properly to get it out. Do you think that that's an issue in these games?
I think it might be an issue to begin with. I don't know. I obviously don't know these two teams' practice schedules, but I don't think people will have had enough time to practice with this new ward system. And I think I for one, as an AD carry main, I'm struggling to get into this new meta where I actually have to buy wards. Yeah. So I think the whole community as a general will take a little bit of time to sort of get into the habit of, like, late game, everyone buying wards, everyone on the team, not just one or two people. So I'll be interested to see how quick they do pick up this sort of these new good habits of everyone buying wards rather than just one person.
Yeah, definitely. We are loading into the game. Perhaps we can get past that loading screen error by spectating my game. We've got 2 teams full of platinums right here, so I know that doesn't say a lot, but I mean the mechanical skill level of these 2 teams is really incredible, and I'm thinking that it often says a lot about how they adapt to changes when you look at their solo queue ratings. That's a thing that you have to every week look at the patches and really be able to notice what's going to be strong in the new patch, and they've responded so quickly by, just a student, I've never seen him pick up Rammus before, but straight away this week who's gone into the round. It'll be really interesting to see how each team's change with the meta.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very excited to see what kind of new playstyles we might see. Obviously, we're not going to be seeing that 2-1-2 meta that we have sort of seen in the background. I do have my own sound coming in through my computer. I think I've got a website open that I may need to close.
That's no problem. It happens. It happens. But are we into the game? Are we successfully?
I am on the load screen though. Yes, I've paused the stream in the background so you won't hear my voice twice. What an embarrassing mistake to make. So yeah, I'm onto the load screen. I'm not quite in the game yet, but I will be any second. And I am now in the game.
The new change as well is that the first blood's actually only worth 200 gold, I believe, before 4 minutes. I think that's the change. Is it worth invading now? The jungle's actually quite hard to keep up with. If you invade, even if you don't get that first blood, do you think it's worth putting them behind a lot more now with the changes in the jungle?
I don't know. It's one of those things where I think you've got to try and make the decision on whether it's worth it at the time for your team. I'll be very interested to see what they do in the level 1. Obviously, we've got both teams milling around, and they're both heading towards the sort of blue side red buff. So I'll be interested to see if we do have a bit of a fight going for this. Just the Student is currently just in that little brush. I think he may well be just defending his blue buff though, so don't know if we are going to see a level 1 fight or not.
Yep, so KVGS has got that ward on their blue side, and they're really looking to invade heavily onto Manchester's blue with the Blitzcrank. Ezreal's actually standing in a very...
Oh, we do have a flash grab from Moist there. Excellent pickup, and that is the first blood. Obviously, Shen able to get that Shadow Dash on. No way for Ezreal to get out of that one, so really well played by Moist. Excellent initiate.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And you could see that coming. It almost seemed like the Ezreal was totally AFK there. But perhaps they should have got a ward down by the Zyra, but they finally put one in. They're wanting to keep hold of this blue buff right here, and Quinn's going to take her back, securing obviously a bit of gold and probably pick up a pot or two. She also forgot to pick up a trinket, so that's another valuable pickup. So KVGS going to get on taking their red buff after securing that first blood, and then Manchester just going to pick up that blue on the Rammus. As I said, the first blood's only worth 250G. Was it even worth expending that flash on the Blitzcrank and giving up the Vorpal Blade on the Shen top in order to secure that first blood, do you think?
I think the fact that Shen was the one to get the first blood, I think it was worth it in the end, because at level 1, there's not really going to be much fighting in the top lane. Now, there would be a little bit of Vorpal Blade harass from the Shen, but really he's not going to be able to outdo Nazis's sustain at level 1 anyway, so he did end up just pushing that one out. We do have some massive harass going down in the mid lane. Vala doing doing absolute work with her empowered auto attacks, absolutely chunking Syndra, and we almost had a grab there from the Blitzcrank, but Ezreal just able to avoid that one.
Yeah, and Quinn's is played in the mid lane, but obviously she's not played in the majority of games. I definitely wouldn't say that she's a champion.
And we do have Rammus coming in. He does flash in for the stun there. The taunt goes down. Syndra not quite able to land that Q though, and it looks like both teams are just going to back away for this one with no kill.
Yep, and I was just about to say the amount of damage was just a surprise, I think, for that Syndra. The Rammus is coming back round here for another gank. Just going to be safe, hiding behind those minions there, Quinn. And Shyvana's going to carry on taking the jungle. Actually, her sustain's really good right now with the amount of single target damage that she can do against the wolves and the single creep on the blue side.
Yeah, and Shyvana, one of those champions that really can just counter jungle like crazy and with not too much danger. And we do have we had an engage going down in the bot lane. Ezreal flashing the grab, really good reactions there by him. I thought he was dead for sure, but able to get out of that one, so well played by the Ezreal player, Mr. Awesome T.
Yeah, definitely. And Shyvana's just such a strong pick. Her amount of damage is huge. However, you have got these lanes that that are really good at stopping people just running straight at you for the ganks. Syndra obviously got a stun. The Ezreal and the Zyra got a snare and a gap maker that is jump away. And then Nace in the top lane with that Wither, so she might actually have a pretty tough time of ganking before that level 6, before she's got her Dragon Form to shorten the gap. But you know, Rammus on the other hand has an easy job of ganking these days, as we see in this bottom lane.
Yeah, so Rammus coming in now. He is behind the two. Blitzcrank does get caught by the roots, and I think he is going to go down. Ezreal is going to pick up that kill, and that is evening up the scores and evening up the gold as well.
Yeah, and some brilliant chain CC right there. We saw the Rammus come in, knock up the Blitzcrank, followed by the Zyra snare, and finally, only then did the Rammus waste his taunt, burn his taunt for the kill right there. So a great little gang, and that's his bonus.
We do have Rammus coming in the mid lane, but does miss his taunt initially and takes quite a chunk of damage there from what the Moose. Is going to walk away from that one, but significantly large amount of damage taken, so he's possibly going to have to back soon from the jungle.
Yep, and we see the Shyvana coming over. I should just guess that he's taking his race, so it's going to be really risky.
Yeah,
right
going to be going for that counter jungle. She doesn't have the red buff currently, but she does have that massive movement speed, possibly able to finish him off. Don't know if she's going to be able to get it. Does get taunted under the tower though, and she is going to go down to Syndra, so I don't think that was worth it in the end for Shyvana. She did pick up the kill onto Rammus, but the enemy Syndra got a kill on her as well, so Syndra being such a dangerous champion to have kills on, so I really don't think that was worth it for the Shyvana.
No, not at all. And you know, when you weigh up the fact that A, you've got that extra assist gold coming in from an assisted kill for Manchester from the Rammus, and then B, that the Rammus had to move back anyway, she'd have probably been wiser just to know full well that he was going to go have to take a B, and then probably taking the advantage through invading his jungle, taking more minions. Yeah,
exactly. And like we were saying earlier, Syndra being such a strong counter jungler, but we do have an engage there. Syndra able to pick up that kill, not actually having to use the ultimate. I think she did level up from the kill there to get the ultimate, but Quinn going really hard there, but not actually able to put out the damage that he perhaps thought he had.
Yep, and you know, Syndra just does such a amount of burst damage. She thought she probably could have traded 1-for-1 on kills with that Quinn. They both burnt their ignite right there. A gang coming in on top lane from Rammus right here. Yeah,
and Shen not looking to be in a good spot. He does have level 6, and he does have a Shadow Dash, but he does get taunted by the Rammus after flashing, so really unfortunate there for the Shen. His Shadow Dash is still available. He's trying to juke it out, and he's trying to possibly get a kill on Nasus, but Nasus has his ultimate up, but he just used his Wither, so he no longer has the mana. He's going to try and back in the bush. The ignite not quite enough to take him, but Shen 1v1ing the Rammus, and we also have a fight going on in the bot lane. Also, Mr. T is going to be exhausted by Moist, and it looks like he may go down to the Shyvana, taking loads of damage, absolutely just tanking the Shyvana there. Blitzcrank does go down though to the Zyra. Zyra trying to flash out. I don't know if she's going to be able to get away from this one. They are going to decide not to dive this, but Sivir doing quite a lot of damage with a ricochet, but it's not quite enough to take her down.
Yeah, and you know, it's a 1-for-1 trade. Obviously, the gank coming in from Shyvana, so 3v2 going 1-for-1. The kill did
we do have a teleport in the top lane, but Shen possibly going to be able to get away with the Shadow Dash. He doesn't quite... Rammus not using the taunt there. I think it was on cooldown, so Shen going to be able to get away from that one.
Yeah, and you know, Druss has really tried to knuckle down this Shen after him getting first blood, but unfortunately not getting a kill out of it. Shyvana tries to start...
Shyvana using the ultimate onto Zyra there. I don't know if that was a wise move. The Stand United comes down from Shen. That was the plan all along. And now Mr. Awesome T's in a really bad spot. Syndra is behind him, but What the Moose is there as well. Syndra going to absolutely burst What the Moose. He's in a really bad spot here. Does manage to land that final Q. Takes out What the Moose. And now I'm going to be interested to see how this fight goes. We do have a lot of low players on the blue team. But also Mr. T just tanking Shen at the minute, and Moist coming in with the Blitzcrank as well. He's going to try and get a grab, but Rammus is here. Does get the taunt onto the Shen, and Syndra manages to get the stun as well. So lots of CC going down, but this Shen being so tanky this early in the game, he is going to go down in the end. Shadow Dash not quite able to get him over the wall, and I think Rammus is going to get the stun yet, and looks like Syndra, Ezreal is going to pick up the kill. Took him ages just to finish him off there, but Ezreal does pick up that kill in the end there.
Yeah, but Shen just showing how tanky he is right there. Nasus does get a lot of free farm from him being caught down there. And Blitzcrank caught in a really bad situation here.
Yep.
Will Ramus dive him? Yep.
Blitzcrank trying to flash out, but he does get taunted under the tower. Ramus diving here. Not sure if that was a wise move. He does manage to escape. Blitzcrank getting Ezreal under the tower. Ezreal nearly going down, and now Quinn's here to finish him off, but he does manage to flash away. Don't think he's going to be able to get away, though. Shyvana is there, and Sivir comes in with the Boomerang Blade to pick up the kill, but all this time, Naz has been in the top lane split pushing.
Yeah, definitely. So, maybe a bit aggressive in that bottom lane, having to burn a few too many summoner spells for that 1v1 trade right there between a kill going on the Sivir and a kill going on the Ezreal. But Nasus just already getting really well farmed. He's built that Spectre's Cal, which is great for the magic resistance for the harass from Shen's Vorpal Blade. And he's just going to be able to sit up there pretty soon, just taking the damage from Shen, and knowing that he always has that teleport up if the Shen decides to go elsewhere and create extra pressure and advantage for them.
Yeah, we do have this Sivir ultimate going down in the bot lane. Not really able to get much follow-up from that. The grab does go down on also Mr. T, but I really don't think they have much going. Boomerang Blade is on cooldown. So not necessarily the best use of the Sivir ultimate there. She is now as well, so I think they're just going to have to go back in the bot lane and possibly will get pushed out.
Yep, you need to save enough mana for your shields to regain some of that mana back. And Zyra actually did a really good job of almost turning around that engage. She used her ultimate, but Ezreal was just a bit late to the party, so he couldn't quite deal enough damage on the Blitzcrank or the Sivir to bring him down. The Blitzcrank was brought very low, but with the Zyra still quite squishy right now, they decided just to back out. Syndra doing a really good job of harassing out this mid lane. Currently about 20 farm ahead of the Quinn, so really lengthened that lead that she's got with those 3 kills. Shen, on the other hand, is keeping up pretty well with the Nasus, even after him having free farm, pushing those minions into turret to stop him getting those Q stacks.
Yeah, so this Shen looking really scary right now. Obviously has the same farm as the Nasus, but also has 1 kill and an assist. And if he can keep on bullying this Nasus like he is doing, stopping the Nasus getting the farm, then he will just increase that advantage. But currently, Nasus managing to last hit the vast majority of these minions under his tower, so really well last hitted by this Nasus.
Yeah, very well done. And, we saw them try for that early dragon earlier. A thing that I've noticed is that dragons become, even with the limit on the wards from the support, dragons actually become a really dodgy place to start trying to engage on.
We do have a Stand United gank there on What the Moose, but What the Moose slow to react to that. I don't know if that was a bit of miscommunication or what. What the Moose absolutely jumping on Syndra and bursting it down so fast. Really well played by him. And Shen able to get the assist anyway, so I guess I've eaten my words. It was worth using the Stand United anyway. But just a bit slow reactions by What the Moose, and they're going to be able to take the enemy wraiths for it as well.
Yeah, definitely. So they get a bit more gold out of that. Obviously, Quinn very fast, so hard to get out of that situation. The Ramus is going to taunt onto the Shen underneath the turret, but a lot of damage going down onto him, and they're going to bring him down for another kill. That Shen's so tanky already in this game, and it's going to be the first turret of the game for KVGS being brought down right here.
Yeah, so you're in a pretty scary spot if the enemy Shen can already dive your tank and pick up the kill. So really scary spot for Ramus there. Ramus actually starting to fall a bit behind. He's 0-2-4 against the enemy Shyvana, who's 3-1-2 with 54 farm to 35. So Ramus not looking to be in a good spot right now.
No, but the Nasus is still farming very well. Lots of pressure, lots of abilities being used by that Syndra to try and harass the Shyvana, but not actually hitting anything. They're going to start the dragon right here. They have no vision on it, KVGS, so should be a free dragon. The Ramus has started to gain some tanky items, picked up his ruby crystal, going to start to work towards that ancient golem. And he's also picked up his ninja tabi against that double AD carry team comp from KVGS. So while they're looking slightly behind here, only 400 G, may I add, Manchester are looking to build for the late game right here.
Yeah, definitely far too early to call too much of an advantage. Obviously, the gold is only 300 gold difference, so really anything can happen at this stage. What the Moose going aggressive onto the Syndra. He does see that the Syndra zoom. Syndra trying to get the burst off, but it's not going to be enough, and What the Moose does pick up that kill. And had he not, Shyvana was just arriving to help out there as well, and it looks like What the Moose is going to be able to take that mid tower.
Yep, and you know, Syndra got a really good early lead right here. However, rather than putting some money into ability power, he wanted to keep up with that mana regen. And in doing so, has built and finished his Athene's Unholy Grail. And unfortunately, it's left him with very little armor. That was probably better invested into the arm guard rather than that magic resistance item right there.
Yeah, and it looks like we're possibly going to have an engage going down in the bot lane. Blitzcrank does use his overdrive, manages to get the grab onto the Zyra. The boomerang blade, really well placed, does hit Zyra on the way back after she's flashed. Zyra is going to go down to the Sivir, is she? She might survive. Oh my goodness, the Zyra survives. Blitzcrank goes down, the boomerang blade not able to get it, and Rammus comes in, manages to get the taunt onto Sivir. And that's a kill for Rammus. So purple team suffering no losses from that tower dive and able to pick up the double kill. In the meantime, in the top lane, Shen is being attacked by this Nasus. Nasus being so scary right now. Does have his ultimate up, and the Q's absolutely chunking this Shen. But Shen gonna have Shadow Dash up in 1 second. He should be able to get away from this one. Oh,
yep, but probably didn't get the maximum distance out of that. Nasus is going to back off as he sees this Shyvana coming around right here. It's going to try and teleport out of the way, but the Shyvana forces him to cancel the ultimate. He's going to turn and try and get a kill on the Shen, but I don't think it's going to make it. The Shyvana picking up that kill right there.
Really well played by the Shyvana to arrive. And also, Nasus getting a little bit greedy there. He didn't have any vision of the enemy jungle, and yet he chased all the way to the second tier tower. So really not the best spot to be in for the Nasus. I think he should have backed off a little bit earlier.
Yep, and that Shen's got that Sunfire Cape right now, so while he's probably getting 1v1'd quite easily by the Nasus, he's going to actually be able to do some real good harass onto the Ezreal and keep him out of the team fight later in the game.
Yeah, and also Nasus being notorious for being able to keep AD carries out of the team fight. Obviously, he will be able to just sort of wither and chase Sivir all day long during those team fights, so I'll have to see how the two teams do play this during the teamfight phase. Like we said earlier, the gold is so similar at the minute. Obviously, both teams only on one turret, and we do have an engage going down the mid lane. Syndra able to pick up the kill onto What the Moose there. The taunt did go down, and Shyvana not quite arriving in time. She got there, she ran up to the mid lane, but What the Moose went down so fast she wasn't really able to do anything. And now we've got a battle going on in the top lane. The ultimate goes down from Nasus. Shen gets the Shadow Dash on. He's trying to get the minion damage down, but Nasus is going to be winning this fight, and he's going to be chasing. And Shyvana getting a kill on Syndra in the mid lane. Does have to use the ultimate to finish that off, but Nasus is going to have to back away in the top lane, and that's going to be a 1-0 for the blue team there.
Yeah, definitely. And the Syndra just getting a bit too cocky, trying to take her farm right there in the mid lane as the Shyvana picked up her dragon ultimate to make that gap closer.
And we do have a tower dive going down in the bot lane. A nice Sprite getting taunted by the Rammus does end up going down. The Zyra ultimate as well, stopping Shyvana getting too close. The Blitzcrank grab just missing Mr. Awesome T. And it looks like Purple Team may be able to get this bottom tower.
Yeah, there's not much Shyvana can do in terms of lane clear right here. She's obviously not got any real distance on her lane clear abilities, so she's just going to have to back off. They can actually probably push this right to the second turret, forcing the Sivir to lose a bit more farm. The Dragon will be up fairly shortly in 1 minute 30, so they're going to all be looking to head towards that way. They also, really important for Manchester, is to get this mid lane turret down. What the Moose has been able to play very aggressively onto this mid lane is quite a competent solo queue player. So really used to playing that aggression. It just caught him out in that last gank as the Rammus was waiting for it, and Mr. TD did a really good job of baiting that aggressive engage. But it's important for Manchester to bring down this mid turret for the map control. An engage coming out from this Blitzcrank into mid lane, but Rammus is there for safety, so both teams just going to play it safe right here.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be much happening in that mid lane. Both the junglers are there. The support and AD carrier, they're also there for the Kittens, so I really don't think either team wants to fight right now. But we keep on sort of tussling back and forth up in this top lane between Nasus and Shen. Shen can see that Nasus has no mana right now, so he knows that he can trade equally with the Nasus. He doesn't have it available, and he doesn't have enough mana to keep on spamming out Qs and withers, so Shen looking really confident right now.
Yeah, definitely. But both teams are doing a really good job of just farming this game out. You know, it's 20 minutes. You'd probably expect them to see them a bit higher, but they're both playing really safely. Not too much action in terms of around the objectives being made quite yet.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if we do have a big fight going for this dragon. It is going to be up in 2 seconds, so I think stuff's going to happen. But the Blitzcrank does manage to get a second flash grab of the game. Really well played. The Syndra getting really low, and she is going to go down to the Shyvana. The Zyra ultimate, missing everyone there, not able to get any knock-up, but Rammus getting on right behind Sivir. I don't know if Sivir's going to be able to get away. Shyvana does block that, but he's going to get taunted. And now Zyra's there as well. I don't know if Shyvana's going to be able to get. Zyra does pick up that kill, and now Nasus is here. He does use the ultimate, and it's looking really scary for Blitzcrank right now. I don't think he's going to be able to get away. We're going to have to be able to see if anyone else can get a kill. Rammus does end up going down. Blue team possibly going to be turning this fight around. A nice fight now. Stand United going down onto her. She is going to be able to survive. What the Moose picking up one of those kills there onto Nasus. But Mr. Awesome T is now in the back line. But Shen is there. And he's an absolute brick wall. Ezreal not going to be able to stand up to that. And What the Moose arriving as well. What the Moose with no mana though. But the auto attack's going to be enough to pick up the kill. And Shen picking up that final kill of the fight. That is a 3-3 in the end. So even scores for both teams. This game is painfully close. Blue team currently 100 gold ahead. 1,000 gold ahead. I can't count. 1,000 gold difference.
Ezreal right at the start of the fight actually turned to try and clear that bottom lane. So it was heading towards that bottom lane. Manchester did a really good job of collapsing there. A brilliant teleport coming out from Nasus, trapping them between the turret and the jungle. Rammus coming behind and actually catching them up, but they just didn't have that Ezreal there as he turned the wrong way at the start of the fight, so a lot of their damage was missing, and by the time he got there he could clear it one, but unfortunately Shen was still left in full HP, meaning that team fight probably went in KVGS's favour right there.
Yeah, I think overall though it was a very, very even team fight, and now KVGS's Kittens able to get that turret as well, so the gold so even, but the dragon going to be going over to Manchester, so quite an even trade there. The top turret for the dragon, but unfortunately obviously dragon is going to respawn, the turret won't, so in terms of global objective I'd say a turret's possibly more valuable than a dragon, but we'll have to see if either team does manage to start to snowball an advantage or not. Yeah,
definitely. This mid lane, again, I've said it before, but it's very low for KVGS, and actually goes down to that Ezreal right here. Blitzcrank and Quinn closing and trying to trap
Quinn able to get onto Ezreal. Ezreal in a really bad spot. He does arcane shift, but he doesn't do it over the wall. He does know Blitzcrank's there. Getting really caught out of position there. He did get the turret, but he does end up going down for that. And Zyra only at half health now. Looks like blue team are going to be trying to push down the mid lane. I don't know what Manchester are going to be able to do. Blitzcrank managing to get a grab onto the Zyra. Zyra getting really low, does end up going down. Now Rammus is in a really bad spot as well. The Shyvana getting really low though, does go down to the Rammus. Rammus picking up a double kill there. And Shen now tanking the tower, but he is so tanky. I don't know if Rammus is going to be able to go down. Shen now tanking the inhibitor tower, diving so deep for these kills, but they do pick up the kill on Rammus. And that's going to be a 2 for 2. But KVG Kittens are going to be able to take this mid tower for it. Oh, and looks like we do have another engage. Nasus managing to get the wither on Shen. I don't know if that was really the best target to wither. And Syndra being too low to really get into the fight. She's kind of having to stay on the outskirts. She knows that What the Moose will be able to burst her. And excellent play by Mr. Awesome T. Does arcane shift in, gets the Q, gets the ultimate, and manages to pick off What the Moose. Now he's trying to chase down the Sivir, but he sees that Blitzcrank's back. And he decides he's going to have to back away from trying to kill the Sivir. But it looks like we're going to have a bit of a counter push from the purple team now.
Yeah, they just don't have quite enough minions there to make advantage of these death timers. There's also no buffs left up on the blue side of the map for KVGS to take. There's a large wave in this bottom lane, so they're going to switch onto this with the Nasus. As the Sivir and Shyvana are kept in this mid lane, trapped off a bit, so they're probably going to take this turret for free and then back off, making sure that they don't give away the Baron buff right here.
Yeah, Blitzcrank trying to tactically use his ultimate to clear the minions there, but it's not going to be enough to finish them off. Unfortunately, not going for that AP Blitzcrank that we talked about before game. And it's starting to look to go slightly in the favour of Manchester now. They did pick up 2 turrets there. Oh, sorry, 1 turret there. But again, it's such a close game. We're 25 minutes in, 17 kills each with one extra turret to Manchester, but 3 for 4 on the turrets. Such a close game. It really could go either way.
Yep, and we've actually seen a Syndra being jumped on really aggressively by KVGS. She's just picked up that Zhonya, so she's not going to be brought down to low health quite as quickly as she has before, which could really turn these team fights into the favour of Manchester. Nasus is also starting to build towards the Frozen Gauntlet, so the 2 AD carries are going to really struggle to get away from him, as well as their movement, their attack speed being slowed by quite a lot, so a lot of damage being lost for KVGS. And this is the problem that we talked about before. They may have the advantage in the fact that early game they've got really good aggressive mid lane coming out of the Quim, but running the double AD carry can really hinder you, as the enemy team can just build flat armor and not worry about the magic resistance so much.
Yeah, and Shen getting in a bit of a bad spot in the bot lane, but as he's escaping, we've got a 3v3, a 4v3 in the mid lane now. What the Moose able to, unfortunately, going down to the Syndra actually, and now able to pick up the kill on Syndra. Ezreal does get grabbed by the Blitzcrank though, and Sivir going to be picking up that kill, so that's a 2 for 1 in the mid lane. But because it's in the mid lane, this inhibitor tower is now exposed, and it looks like Purple Team going to have to go back. They've got to try and do something, but the pings are going down for Baron. We're going to have to see if we do have a bit of a Baron fight here.
Yeah, and I think that was a good call if they'd have had their other AD carry up, but Rammus, Zyra and Nasus still left up, so they're going to have to back away from this Baron buff. They're aware that they haven't quite got enough damage to take it quick enough versus these 3 left up for Manchester.
And especially with something on like Nasus on the other team, you really don't want to risk that Baron when he can just jump in between you, use his ultimate. That is so much area of effect damage on everyone, and it's really not worth the risk.
Yeah, definitely. Death times are still quite short as well right here. Syndra and Ezreal still up here. Zyra's actually going to start the Baron buff right here. KVGS haven't got any ward on this buff, so they're not going to have any vision right here. Blitzcrank is trying to make his way around to get some vision. Sivir and Shyvana also there, so this could be a risky Baron, but lots of damage going down onto the Baron buff.
Oh, we do have a 1v1 between Sivir and Syndra there. Unfortunately, Purple Team are going to be able to pick up that Baron though, and neither person dying from that 1v1 they had, but Ezreal picking up the kill on Shyvana. Now Ezreal getting really, really low, does go down to the Shen. Druss, the student, looking really low as well, but the Sivir as well on the edge of the team fight is going to get, the Nasus does get grabbed, but the Shadow Dash goes down onto Nasus as well. He's trying to get onto the Sivir, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. She does have to flash out, and now he's in a really bad spot. I don't know if he's going to be able to get away. The Boomerang Blade does just miss, but I don't know if Shen and Blitzcrank have the damage to finish him. Shadow Dash does go down, and that's the ace for the Kittens. So Kittens able to win that team fight very well, but Manchester did pick up the Baron, so a fairly even trade gold-wise. So I don't really know who to give the advantage to there.
Yeah, I mean, I think KVGS really, in terms of morale, probably picks that one up. It's always nice to get an ace. They haven't taken much in terms of objectives, if anything. What the Moose tried to come up and put a bit of damage onto this mid lane. Ping's coming down from just the student to trap what the Moose at this buff right here, and he gets the taunt on. Unfortunately, probably not enough damage here to do anything.
Yeah, the Stand United does go down though. I don't know if Shen's going to be able to get the taunt. The stun getting onto what the Moose there, but wow, Sivir getting absolutely burst there by the Syndra. The taunt does go down onto the Shen, and he's next to the Ezreal though. I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything. Does have to use the Shadow Dash, and he's able to get away. He does get the flash down, but Ezreal following up. He doesn't have a red buff, but he does have that blue buff to spam the arcane shifts out, and he's able to pick up that kill. So that is a 2 for 0 for Manchester. So Manchester looking to be pushing down the mid lane now.
Yep, and they've got 10-second death timer on that Sivir and 30-second on the Shen, so they're going to be able to do quite a lot of damage to this mid lane, perhaps pushing onto the inhibitor turret right here. Blitzcrank is there to try and make a grab and defend this mid lane, and some wave clear coming out of the Quinn, but lots of damage going onto that inhibitor turret coming out of the Nasus. Syndra actually getting caught in quite a dodgy situation here. Lots of damage going down onto her. The Zyra.
Yeah, the Zyra ult going down now knocks him up. I thought that was going to be a team fight. The backing off. Syndra does go down though to the Shyvana ultimate. And looks like What the Moose is jumping right in 1v4. I don't know if that was wise. He does go down to the Ezreal. Nasus absolutely chunking him there. Moist in a really bad spot now. Does also go down. I think that was maybe a little overzealous by What the Moose. Chased a bit too far ahead of his team and was punished for that. So Manchester pulling up in a massive advantage now. They got 2 towers there, and then on their way out picked up 2 kills as well, just for 1 death. And now they're looking to be going for the dragon, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get this uncontested. The Sivir doing loads of damage there with the boomerang blade, but Shen absolutely disrupting with that Randuin's Omen. Rammus in a really bad spot. He's really low, but Shyvana also really low. The Zyra trying to get as much damage down as she can. Everyone getting so low in this fight. The Nasus ultimate is up. I think he is going to go down though. Sivir going to be picking up that kill. Rammus on 200 HP. I don't know if he's going to be able to get away. He does start rolling. Ezreal able to arcade shift over that wall to get away as well. And it looks like Rammus may end up going down. The blue team, they've turned around. They're not going to head him off and they're going to back away. So really well played by the purple team to escape that situation, really. Nasus did go down and that turret's going to go down. I don't know if that turret's going to go down or not, but the dragon goes as well. So blue team really picking up an advantage from this. Shen is just going to walk in and finish off that turret now as well.
Yeah, so lots of global gold coming out for KVGS. A bit of a dodgy start on that dragon right there from Manchester. A bit of a bad call. They were caught in a really dodgy situation. The Shen's just so tanky right now that he's providing a really good front line for KVGS. And Sivir still had her ultimate right there. She didn't waste it before when What the Moose decided to chase onto them. Instead kept it and then could really start to deal a lot of damage in that team fight, getting Ezreal, Zyra and Rammus very low. But they came out, I think, with an equal kill trade right there. So KVGS taking the lead, but they could have really executed a game-changing situation there. So I think they saved it pretty well by escaping on about 200 or 300 HP apiece.
Yeah, I think one thing to note as well was before that sort of chase happened at Dragon, Manchester was starting to pull ahead in gold. They were quite a bit of gold ahead then, but then KVGS were able to close that gap again. But now Rammus is getting taunted on. The Stand United did go down on Shyvana. Awesome T getting caught out there. The game has been paused mid-team fight. I don't know what to say. I've not seen this before. Mr. Awesome T in a really bad spot here. Syndra also not looking to be in a good spot. What the Moose, though, is very low. So Mr. Awesome T, possibly, if he's got the damage, he's got an Infinity Edge, he's got a Triforce, he's got a Last Whisper, so possibly will be able to burst down What the Moose. We'll have to see what happens in 2 seconds. 1 second. We're back in the game. Awesome T does go down. The Zyra ult is down. What the Moose managing to lifesteal to stay in this game. Picking up the triple kill there. Under the tower, will he get the Quadra? He doesn't get the Quadra. Sivir picking up the 4th kill there. But it looks like they're going to take this inhibitor tower, and it looks like they're going to be getting the inhibitor as well.
Yeah, and possibly close out this game right here. Nasus the only one left up. 25 seconds, the shortest death timer for for Manchester right here. Nasus actually being caught in a really dodgy situation. Going to go down to this team, leaving Manchester's 2 turrets exposed right here. I think this is going to be the end of the game. Going to KVGS, so they do pick up that win.
Yeah, so really, really well played by KVGS. Sorry, I thought you'd finished talking there. Yeah, really well played by KVGS. They do pick up that win. Nasus there does die at the end, but obviously there wasn't really anything else he could do in that situation. Was just sort of may as well go in and give it a go 1v5. But really well played by KVGS there.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think in terms of Manchester's mistake right there was they almost took it too slow towards the end. KVS actually managed to pull back that game to the point where they could decide the pace of the game, and right at the end they made a really fast engage, catching the Ezreal and the Syndra out right there. Moist actually being an absolutely dominant support landing loads and loads of important hooks. So I'm going to try and get him into an interview if possible. What were your thoughts on KVGS? Did they perform well as a team in terms of individual mechanics, or do you think they really pulled together in terms of synergy and communication, do you think?
I think majoritively on KGVS, it was more of each player playing well rather than a sort of teamwork per se. I think they played well as a team, but I think there was times when their teamwork was a little shaky. For example, what the Moose showing really, really strong mechanics. Obviously, 12, 6, and 10. Right at the start of the game, we saw him chunk the Syndra under her tower at like level 2. But he, like, for example, on one of the later game team fights, he did get a little overzealous, charging 1v4. He thought his team was closer than they were. Perhaps a little bit of miscommunication there. And it was just little things like that that showed they perhaps need to work on their synergy a little bit more. But obviously, all 5 of them are really, really strong players.
Yeah, definitely. And last week, Manchester actually defeated them in in the first showdown between them. So it's really nice for them to come back, knuckle down on their mistakes from last week, and they came back really strong this week. Manchester are so used to controlling the pace of the game and generally just not being caught in bad positions. But this week, I think they've really struggled with the changing wards. They usually are able to just make the enemy jungles their own. And it really showed this week with the amount of catches that were made onto their 2 carries.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one massive thing to point out as well is that that game was so close for so long. I don't think there really was a gold lead until 25 minutes into the game. At that point, then KVGS started to pull ahead, and obviously were able to close out that game from the last team fight. But for the vast majority of the game, it was so close, and you really couldn't have called which team was going to win. Parts of it Manchester were pushing, parts of it KVGS were pushing. So really, really close game overall.
Yep, definitely. And we've actually got Moist going to come in for an interview right now, which was playing that dominant Blitzcrank in that game. It's going to be with us very shortly, hopefully, probably within the next 30 seconds. I think it's just sorting out his microphone and whatnot to make sure it's fine on stream. But I was so impressed with his plays. He just totally changed up that game. I think his engages were what won it for KVGS, and I think that's more than fair to say.
Yeah, I definitely would give the MVP to Moist for this game. Obviously, he sort of set the tone for the game right at the start, did get that flash grab onto Ezreal. Mr. Awesome T not even able to react in time, and just picking up that first blood, and then so many grabs. He got a flash grab during the mid lane. He got like every single fight he was landing really important grabs, not letting them escape, and also engaging as well. So really, really well played.
Yeah, definitely. Just gonna get him